Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name is Tanya, and have you ever thought about making your own dog food? I know that sounds kind of crazy and kind of eccentric, but I've had a few issues with the dog food that I've been using for years. Not only has the price gotten so quick, it just so fast got so much. I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm going to give making my own dog food a try. Now, if it seems like I'm kind of scattered, kind of don't know what I'm doing, I really don't know what I'm doing. This is the first time I've done this, but I've done a little bit of research recently on things to put in there, but more importantly, things to leave out. It seems like every popular dog food on the market has real pretty pictures of all these vegetables on the front of the bag, but I've learned by doing some research and through talking to my vet that not all those vegetables are something that your dog needs to be eating. So go with me as we go over to the stove. We're going to cook some things. We're going to serve some of the things raw in this. I'm going to wind up freezing it out in portions. So just go with me as I kind of muddle my way through making my own dog food. All right, so we're over here at the stove top, and what I've done, you saw previously in the video that I cooked this, and this is just some Milanese style sliced very, very lean beef. It was marked down when I went to the store. I came home, promptly put it in the freezer. So it's been frozen all this time. So thawed it out, and I'm going to be taking the broth. Like I said, I'm just kind of winging my way through this because some of the stuff I want fresh. I don't want it mushy. I want stuff like the carrots. I want those to be solid, and I want them to be fresh. I don't want them cooked down to where there's no texture to it. And some of the things we will cook just because there's a reason for it. And I'll tell you that in just a minute about which of those items are. Now this is about 4 to 5 ounces of chicken livers. And I think there's a chicken heart in there too. So I have my burner on. We're going to cook this part of it in some of that liquid that I cooked the beef in. And this is what the beef looks like. Try not to bump the camera too much. This is what the beef looks like now. It's beautiful pieces of beef, but I'm going to chunk this up just a little bit more. It'll be of a finer consistency. I don't want it fine like baby food because I want it to have a chunky texture. I want it to be appealing to them. I mean, after all, it is my dog's eating it. So I have one picky eater, and then I have one also. Lacey is the one who will actually eat the bowl if she could get it in her mouth. She will eat anything, anytime. It doesn't matter to her. She just is happy to eat. Food is the reason she wakes up in the mornings. But then the other one, Zoe, is like, that's not my favorite. I don't want this today. I'll just hang around until she feels sorry enough for me to give me something like a carrot or something like that, because she loves carrots. All right, I have eggs, and I'm going to be using 3 eggs in this. I'll have the recipe in the description like I always do, but I'm just trying to kind of process this as I'm doing it. I'm going to be using 3 eggs. I'm going to cook the egg whites, but leave the egg yolks as they are. I'm not going to cook those. They're going to be raw. I'm going to add that to the mix because from what I understand, egg yolks are easier to digest if they are in their raw stage. Didn't know that, but through research, a little bit of research, I found that out. So I'll be cooking the egg whites, leaving the egg yolks raw, and then I will be pulverizing 1.5 of the shells. That's just what I'm told, what I'm understanding is good for them. The things that are not good for your dogs, I will say this, my vet told me this a few years ago, so I have learned, and that's what's so frustrating looking at all these dog food packages, because every one of them have a big, pretty, bright sweet potato. I realize it makes the color of it makes the label look so beautiful, but sweet potatoes and peas are the other thing, and they always have peas, whether it's fresh green peas or pea protein. Peas in any form, peas, legumes, lentils, those are apparently bad for your dog. I didn't know, but I do now. I used to buy them sweet potatoes and give them little tiny pieces of it as a treat, but I don't do that anymore. My vet had said it. I did some research. There was a vet online the other day that was talking about how it causes canine dilated cardiomyopathy, something to do with their heart, and that's exactly what my vet had said a couple of years ago when she said, I know that you feed your dogs really well and you feed them sweet potatoes, but we just have some new research in that says they shouldn't be eating sweet potatoes or peas. And I'm thinking, oh dear, I've probably given them a pea in the last week or so, you know, thinking my dogs are going to die. They didn't, of course, but they're just saying it's just not good for them. All right, let me get a spoon over here. And again, this is just my bone broth and the chicken livers that I'm cooking in here. And I'm going to add the egg whites to that. The egg yolks I'm going to put in there with the beef. I'll probably use my immersion blender to puree this, or either just chop it up with my spoon. So there are reasons for several of the things we're putting in this. Let me grab my recipe real quick. Altogether, I have about 3 pounds of beef and chicken. Now the chicken is from when I made bone broth. Several times I'll take and freeze what's left. After I make my bone broth, strain everything out, I've got the bones and the chicken skin and the heart and livers and things, and they've been cooked through several cycles. But I take the bones and stuff, puree them in my Vitamix, and then put them in little individual ice cube trays. So I have that thawing out in a bowl over there. I also have fresh spinach and, well, fresh frozen spinach added to that too. So this is about 3 pounds all total of the beef that I cooked the other day, and then the chicken from the bone broth. About 3 or 4 ounces of liver. I'll have about a teaspoon and a half of kelp, which is basically sheets of nori. So it's basically seaweed. And that is for iodine. That gives them iodine. A can of sardines, and I have the can of sardines over there. I'm going to use a half a cup of hemp seed, shelled hemp seed, a teaspoon and a half of ginger. Ginger is just all around good for the gut. It's good for people. It's good for dogs. Anytime my doggies start acting like they're sick and they won't eat well, they're just kind of laying around, I'll give them one of those little candy ginger chews. And it's not ideal because it has sugar in it, but it has enough ginger in it to where it just, I mean, they perk up within about 5 minutes. That's no exaggeration. Altogether, I have about 3 eggs. Like I said, I'll cook the egg whites and leave the egg yolks raw. About 1.5 egg shells. I'll puree those, pulverize those in the blender. I'll have about 4 ounces of broccoli, a sweet pepper. I have the spinach that's already in the bowl over there. About a teaspoon of turmeric, and turmeric is fabulous for pets, especially dogs. And a half teaspoon of ground black pepper. Make sure it's not cayenne, but black pepper. And this just works synergistically with turmeric. And for those of you who take turmeric for yourselves, you know that you always accompany turmeric with pepper to make it work better. And then I'll probably put apple and, of course, some carrots in there, and then a half a can of organic canned pumpkin. So that's what our dog food's going to consist of. I don't know how much it's going to make. I'm going to put it all in a bowl, and then I'll put it in 1 cup servings because each of my dogs will get about a half a cup for each day. So I'll give them about half for breakfast and then half before they, you know, start settling down for the evening. They eat dinner at 4 o'clock. They're like a cuckoo clock. At 4 o'clock, they start looking at me like, did you forget what time it is? And you can bet that they know when 4 o'clock rolls around. But I don't think I'm going to have a problem with them eating it. Zoe has gotten to where she doesn't necessarily like the dog food that I've been buying. And like I said, it's not something I can just go to my big store and get. I order it online. And I thought for a while that It was really good stuff, but I've had a few things arise, and I'm contacting the company currently to see if they have a response to some questions that I have about it. I had the same issue, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago, and someone that was related to the owner that works within the company called me back. Very, very helpful, very good customer service, but now the problem has arisen again, so we're just going to try to get the issue taken care of. I want them to do the right thing, but I'm a little leery of it now, so I'd rather do this for a while. Unless I just get sick and tired of making dog food, then I stop altogether. All right, you don't want to cook anything, any part of this at really high heat. With my beef, when we left for church yesterday morning, I had put it in the slow cooker, and then when we came home, just a few hours later, I had cooked it on low the whole time. I just turned it off. It probably was cooked just the right amount, but don't expose any of the food to too high of heat, because some of the nutrition apparently just kind of cooks away. I don't really know where it goes, but they say to kind of keep the heat as low as you can when cooking anything for your dogs. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pour this egg white in there, and it will cook along with the livers and heart of the chicken. This is probably one of the hardest videos I've tried to figure out how to do, because some of my stuff was frozen. I had to cook some of it a day ahead of time. I was trying to figure out if I need to get all my stuff out, but I just thought, you know what? My husband can edit all the stuff out that we don't necessarily need, but this is just a lot of moving parts. And again, I don't really know what I'm doing. So this exacerbates the issue. I think I could probably take this out and just chop it up on a cutting board and leave better chunks in it, and then the liquid in there I can just add to the rest of my stuff. So for you dog lovers out there, you probably know that you're not supposed to give your dogs things like garlic and onions and, let's see, macadamia nuts. Mushrooms are a big no-no, but according to some of these videos I'm watching, even by well-known vets, they're feeding their dogs mushrooms, and there's medicinal reasons for it. But I'm just not sure what I'm doing. I'm not sure what kind of mushrooms they're recommending, and I haven't looked into it that much, but I might add mushrooms to this later on, but for now, no. Grains are something that is not really good for your dog, so we don't give ours grains. I mean, yes, I make air-popped popcorn, and that's their big treat. Every once in a while, I'll throw them 2 pieces, and they just think that's such a big treat, but I really should just find another treat to give them, because they don't really care what the treat is. I'm trying to think of what else. Of course, chocolate is a big thing, and also grapes and raisins. I mean, those are super toxic. There is a sweetener, and of course, the name of it just went out of my brain. I was thinking of it, and then it went out of my brain. I want to say it's xylitol that is used as a sweetener for people who choose artificial sweeteners, and it is like, it's not just toxic, it's deadly to dogs. If a dog gets a hold of a piece of candy or gum that still has it in there and they ingest that, you could be looking at, you know, death to a dog. So scary stuff like that. It's kind of frightening just to walk our dogs in an area that is not our yard, and well, even in our neighborhood, but we go around walking at our university campus here a lot because we get to meet a lot of students. The students like petting our dogs. They miss their dogs from home because they're away from home. But if somebody takes a chocolate chip cookie and throws it in the shrubs, and our dog, you know, takes off, even though they're on a leash, they'll pull until they want to find what's underneath the shrub. And I'm thinking, oh, it's probably, you know, it's probably a bug or something they're chasing. And then they come out with a chocolate chip cookie. So it's, walking your dogs is not for the faint of heart. You have to be on alert all the time. Nobody told me this before we got dogs. Nobody explained the dog walking trauma to me. And the fact that what if your neighbor's German Shepherd jumps the fence, and what if you're out at a social event like a farmer's market or something, and other people don't have their dogs on a leash, even though it's a law in our town. Some people just walk around like their dog knows exactly what they're doing and would never chase another animal, but my dogs are having a heart attack over there at the end of the leash because they see another dog, and then it piques the curiosity of the big dog, and they want to come over, and it's just not good. So anyway, all that being said, nobody told us this before we got dogs. I am not a person who was raised having a dog, except for my granddad had bird dogs out in the fence or in the in the pen outside. They never came inside ever. That was so against the law at our house. They were just for bird hunting, but yeah, it's a whole new learning experience. We do love our doggies so much. We don't know what we'd do without them, but man, it's a lot of work. I mean, here I stand cooking their food for the next couple of weeks, and it's taken up my whole morning. You got to love your dogs when you're spending hours planning their menu and getting all the items together and then making their food for them. They just don't know how spoiled they are. All right, I think our egg whites are pretty much cooked in there. I can see the specks of them. So I'm going to turn the heat off on this. And then I will, let's see, what's my next step? I probably need to chop up some carrots. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll turn the camera off because who wants to watch me chop up a carrot? And I'll get some other things in order, and we'll be ready to combine it all when I turn the camera back on. All right, we're back over here at the counter. I have my stuff chopped up. Got my carrots, my broccoli, and my orange bell pepper. I got my pumpkin seeds out too. I think I didn't read the word pumpkin seeds a while ago, but the ratio is you're supposed to have 70% meat, 10% fruit and vegetables, 10% organs, that's the liver and heart in here, and then 10% bone, but also it could include nuts and seeds if needed. Lacey and Zoe grow nuts because it's almost like they think I'm making their birthday cake or something, and they can't wait. They just keep walking around like, what are you doing up there? What's going on? All right, that's pretty chunky mixture right there. Put this back in there. And it's such a mess, I'm not gonna lie. All right, I'm trying to debate on whether or not I should chop some of this up or just put my immersion blender in there. I could probably do this. There. My dog would love getting a hold of that little piece of meat right there. All right, I don't think I'll need my cutting board again, but I'll put it right there just in case. So here's my big bowl that has the thawed chicken bones and skin from making bone broth, and also the fresh frozen spinach. It has organic spinach in there. Now keep in mind, I'm not telling you what to feed your dog. Do not feed your dog this. They get allergic to something and go, you know what? Tanya killed my dog. Do not do that. If you know your dog is allergic to some of these things, don't give them to him by all means. But I know that my dogs are okay with all this. I've never fed them sardines before, so we'll see what that holds, but I'm sure they'll love it. But this is just kind of, this is just kind of a template for someone to use. There are things that you can use, and then there are things that you do not want to use. So meat is high on the priority list for dogs. They are animals. Okay, this is the juice from cooking that beef. And remember, I just had not a whole lot of water at all in that slow cooker when I cooked that yesterday morning. But it smelled so good when I took the lid off. I was like, I cannot believe I'm getting this to the dogs. This is crazy. But the only reason I bought that meat is because it was boneless. I wasn't paying for the weight of a bone. And also, it was less expensive than any other cut of meat in the entire store except for the ground beef. And the ground beef just had a little bit higher fat content than I wanted, and that's why I went with this. All right, this is the livers and hearts and the beef that I just chopped up. And the egg yolks. There's the egg yolks in there. All right, next thing we'll add is our canned pumpkin. This is it. I've already taken half of it out and put it in a jar and placed it in the freezer just so I can use it with the next batch. And my dogs have always loved pumpkin. I used to give it to them in their food, some pumpkin and a little bit of yogurt when their tummies were upset, and that seemed to help a lot. The probiotics in the yogurt, and then something about the pumpkin just was like the magic potion for them. All right, I want y'all to see over my shoulder what's going on here. That's Zoe. All right, give this a stir. This is going to be pretty liquidy, I would think. All right, hemp hearts is the next thing I'm going to put in there, and this is what I bought. It's right here. I love hemp seeds to put in my oatmeal. It gives it like a good texture. All right, let me get my tablespoon over here. I wrote down that I need 3 tablespoons. I keep ginger in the refrigerator. I have it in a peanut butter jar, but it is ginger. See, I have organic ginger written on the top. And I just need about maybe a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Ginger. You get too much in there and it'll be probably spicy, but all right, I'll put this back in the freezer. All right, next thing we want to put in there is our bell pepper. It calls for red pepper, but this is an orange one. That's what I had. I didn't have a red one. And our broccoli, this is more of a broccoli stem than it is the florets. And this is our carrot. This is the part they love, love, love. Of course, they'll love, love, love the meat in there too, I'm sure. Let me get a teaspoon. And I need about a teaspoon of turmeric. I've said this before, be real careful about getting this on your hands or on your clothes because it does not want to come out. It is very much a staining thing. Okay, so this is turmeric. And then with the turmeric, we want to add ground black pepper. I just ground this a while ago. And we're going to put about, let's see, what did I put in? About half a teaspoon of black pepper, just to make the turmeric work. It's almost like the batteries for your toy. Have to have the pepper to go along with it. All right, next thing we're going to add, let me look on my list here. A can of sardines. I kind of want to wait till the end for the sardines just because I really want this to, actually I don't want to smell the sardines this early. I actually like eating sardines, but I don't really want to smell the sardines right now. All right, we're going to take our eggshells and pulverize those. Let me get my immersion blender here. This is an immersion blender. also called a stick blender. I think I'll put my eggs in this jar that I had the beef in, my eggshells. And I just need 1.5 eggshells. I'm going to put a tiny bit of water in this. Actually, I could probably use some of the liquid in this. We'll do that. It's not going to hurt any of this other stuff to be smaller, but I just don't want to keep adding liquid to it and make it more liquid than solid. Okay, turn my camera around so you can see what I'm doing. And all I'm doing is just breaking up the eggshell to where it's teeny tiny. All right, I'm absolutely positive that a little chunky eggshell is not going to hurt my doggies, because my doggies love finding robin eggs that have had the babies hatched out of them in the yard when we're walking the dogs, and they will snap it up and eat it like a snack. So no problem there. All right, I think I got it smashed up pretty small. All it takes me normally is one time of making something, the next time I'll come up with a better idea. So I'll probably put the eggshell in with the beef broth and pulverize it with that, so it'll be super small, you know, little details like that. I just want you to know what's going into this. All right, next thing I'm going to do is put the sheet of seaweed in there. And this is what the seaweed looks like. And there you have it. One sheet of seaweed. And I also need pumpkin seeds. I'm just going to put a couple of handfuls in there. And this is our pumpkin seeds. If you have a natural grocer's in your town and you've avoided going in because it looked like one of those health food stores that you wouldn't know what anything is, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. A lot of times they have really, really good sales on things that even my big store in town cannot touch the price. Organic oatmeal, for one thing. I buy it in bulk, and it is fabulous, and it's such a good price. It keeps me coming back. And some things we buy there we just can't really find in other places like we can there, like the unsalted roasted cashews. I love cashews. I eat me a handful of cashews about every day. Brazil nuts, things like that. I eat a couple of Brazil nuts every day. They have selenium in them, which I hear is really good for me. I'm just going what somebody else says, and I like them, so I eat them. All right, now we open the sardines. I might have to chunk these up a little bit. Now these are packed in water and there's no salt. I'll show you the box. This is what the box looks like. So no salt added, so I don't have to worry about that. So it's just water in there. Let's see. I was going to pour them in something so I could chunk them up, but they might chunk up okay in this can. I think I'll put them in this container right here again. Yeah, that works better. The information that I was taking in about this was very, very comprehensive, They even said how much to feed your dog, and they said 2 to 2.5% of your dog's weight is what their daily intake would be of this. So that comes to about a half a cup for my doggies, for each one of them, for each day. So they'd get about 1/4 of a cup in the morning for breakfast, and then about 1/4 of a cup at, again, their 4 o'clock dinner time. So, which equals a half a cup for each doggie. And so I have these 1-cup containers. Some of them are yogurt containers that we bought before, and then some of them are these Ziploc brand plastic containers, and each of those holds conveniently a cup. So what I do is each night before I go to bed, I would thaw it out, or either on the morning that I was feeding them one, I would get out another container to feed them for the next day. So there would always be one that was thawed in the refrigerator. And if I happen to forget to thaw it, I'm sure they would not mind eating it frozen, but it would just be a little more convenient to eat it if it were thawed. Okay, so this is what our mixture looks like. This is the full batch right here. So this is all I'm going to do. Fill it to about right there. I don't want it to be too full because I don't want it. Is that the right lid? Okay, that's the right lid. So this is what our containers look like. These will stack nicely in the freezer. And I don't have just a ton of freezer space. I'm going to fill every square inch of that freezer with other stuff that I need. So it's not just a minor imposition to have to make your own dog food to put it in the freezer. It's kind of ridiculous, and I know there are people going, she is so dumb making her dog's food when they sell perfectly good dog food at the store. And if that were true, I would be a happy girl, but it's just not the case. So anyway, this is what our dog food stacks look like, and it looks like yogurt. The package looks like yogurt anyway. But anyway, okay, I hope this has been helpful to someone. If you're having issues with your dog food, or your dog's just getting to the age they just don't like anything, they just want something different, just something else, then this might be something you'll have to resort to, whether you really want to or not. Get somebody else to do it for you. Give them half the ingredients for their dog. Just come up with something good. The animals they have no choice. They can't go to the store and buy their own stuff, so just be kind to them. So anyway, recipe for this is in the description. This is not something you have to strictly abide by. Just go with what your dog wants, but be sure you have that certain amount of meat, certain amount of fruits and vegetables, certain amount of organ meat, and certain amount of bone, and then go ahead and add their favorite things to it. Some of them raw, some of them cooked. Just do what you know is best for your dog. I will put as much of this information as I have written down in the description, so it'll give you an idea of what you might want to make for your dog, but also the amount that they need to. Thanks for joining us, and we look so forward to sharing something again with you real soon. Bye, guys.